So Nancy Pelosi is gaslighting the left in what I think is a deeply disingenuous way. Let me read you this portion of an article in The Hill, and then I'll explain what's going on here. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat of California, and Democratic leaders on Wednesday scolded Democrats for publicly taking shots at each other and pleaded for unity as they head into key debates in the coming weeks. Quote, "You got a complaint? You come and talk to me about it, but do not tweet about our members and expect us to think that is just okay," Pelosi told Democrats in a closed-door caucus meeting Wednesday, according to a source in the room. Pelosi warned that Democratic infighting plays into GOP hands and defended the moderates in the caucus. Interesting. She didn't defend the left. She defended the moderates. Wow. Quote, "I'm here to help the children when it's easy and when it's hard. Some of you are here to make a beautiful pate, but we're making sausage most of the time," Pelosi said. "Without that unity, we are playing completely into the hands of the other people." Pelosi also forcefully defended the centrists in the caucus and said it's better for Democrats to criticize her than attack the most vulnerable members publicly. Quote, "I hope there will be some level of respect and sensitivity for each individual experience that we bring to this caucus. You make me the target, but don't make our blue dogs and our new Dems the target in all of this because we have important fish to fry," Pelosi said. "It was a very stern and forceful speech," said a senior Democratic aide in the room. Okay. So there's a lot to say about this. First of all, to the idea that this is playing into Republican hands. Why? Because you're fighting and you're Democrats. Yeah, but I don't know if you guys remember, there was this 2016 Republican primary where they were all at each other's throats in the most vicious way, where Trump came up with nicknames for all of his opponents. You know, Little Marco Rubio, Low Energy Jeb, Lion Ted. And what ended up happening? Oh, yes, that's right. The Republicans won. And then the Republicans proceeded to get their tax cuts that they so desperately wanted, and Trump obliterated Obamacare through executive orders. So it's almost like the infighting is not by definition wrong. You want to know why else it's not wrong? Because there is fundamental disagreement within the Democratic Party about what to do with the country and what to do with our platform. If you have some people who are elected Democrats who are for Medicare for all, and then you have some people who are not for Medicare for all, I'm not just going to lay down and act like, well, you know what? They're in the same tribe as me. They're in the same team, so we're not going to disagree on that. No, but we do. We fundamentally disagree on it, and we're going to argue about it, and I'm going to win. Sorry, that's the way this works. It's politics. So this idea of like just arbitrarily saying like, hey, hold your fire. We got bigger fish to fry. Yeah, I could walk and chew gum at the same time. It's easy for me to destroy the right, and it's also relatively easy for me to destroy the corporate Democrats too. But guess what? When you and the Republicans fundamentally agree on Medicare for all, that you're not in favor of it, and we are for Medicare for all, of course I'm going to take you on. You're taking the right-wing position. What do you expect? See, notice, this is why I say this is gaslighting. The Justice Democrats, they're the ones who get the public scorn from the moderates, from the New Democrats, from the third-way people. Time and time again, Bernie Sanders gets the most hate. Now, he's in the Senate, he's not in the House, but nonetheless, the point remains. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer never, ever, ever have come out and said, come on, moderates, be kind to the left, okay? We're all on the same team here. They never once did that. In fact, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer had meetings with people including Pete Buttigieg, and they worked with Third Way to say, okay, how do we get anybody but Bernie Sanders elected? How do we get anybody but Bernie Sanders to win the Democratic primary? They had meetings plotting against Bernie Sanders. And now she comes out and pretends to be this neutral arbiter. She comes out and she's like, well, come on, I'm the adult in the room here, and I'm going to tell you guys that you need to stop fighting. It's gaslighting because you've made up your mind. You're on the side of the moderates, so you're not in agreement with the left. So why should they accept it like, oh, obviously she's looking out for what's best for us, the lefties? No, that's not the case at all. And you're so transparent, it's so obvious. And then even more important point, Nancy Pelosi was just taking shots at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, all the Justice Democrats. She just did it. They have their public whatever in their Twitter, but that's, they have 4 votes and that's it. The Green Dream or whatever they have, whatever they want to call it. She has repeatedly taken shots at them. Repeatedly. Just openly smug and dismissive and condescending when you have, up-and-coming, uncorrupted Democrats who are the future of the party, who represent an ideology that's actually popular, and she's smugly dismissing them. So notice the trick. As she partakes in the Democratic Civil War and takes shots at the left, she then turns around and goes, hey, come on, play fair, when they respond. No, we don't play this game. We tell the truth, and we fight for our policies. And you're either on board with our policies or you're not. And if you're not, we're going to defeat you. It's that simple. But I hate how disingenuous this is, man. Just say it, Nancy. Just say it. I don't believe in Medicare for all. I don't believe in free college. I don't believe in getting money out of politics. I'm not for ending the wars. And so these are my positions, and feel free to agree or disagree with them. But she doesn't say that. She acts like, oh, I am the leader of the Democrats, and I agree with all sides equally, and so therefore, we all need to get along. But that's not true. You have been taking shots at the Justice Democrats, and when they respond, you're like, hey, play fair. It reminds me of old WWF when Rowdy Roddy Piper, I believe it was him, he would hit somebody with a chair, and then they would turn around and be like, they're gonna fuck him up, and he would be like, no. Well, you hit them with a chair. What did you expect? That's Nancy Pelosi. Hits the Justice Democrats with a chair. They turn around to respond, and she's like, can't we all just get along? Oh, my God. Listen, if you want unity on the Democratic side, here's how you get it. All get on the same page for the basics. That's it. I'm not asking you have to agree with me on every little thing. I'm not saying, hey, since I'm in favor of legalizing and decriminalizing all drugs, therefore you have to be in favor of that right now. No, you don't have to be, okay? We'll get there. We'll work on it. But if at this late date you can't agree on Medicare for all, you can't agree on free college, you can't agree on a living wage, you can't agree on getting money out of politics, you can't agree on legalizing marijuana, then what's the point? When you look at the right, they all are in agreement on some basic stuff. Hey, they love tax cuts for the rich. Boom. Hey, they're anti-immigration and they're for the wall. They have their basics, and everybody falls in line. On the Democratic side, half the party, or more than half the party, are taking corporate money too, and are doing the bidding of Wall Street and the for-profit health insurance companies. And then they get mad at the left when the left actually believes in stuff and fights for it. No, we don't play this game anymore. Now, I will say, as a final point, I will say this. After this meeting, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez spoke to the media, and according to The Hill, she basically said something along the lines of, oh, Nancy Pelosi's always singling out these women of color, and it's really disrespectful. Listen, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's not against you guys because you're women of color. She's just not. She's against you because you're uncorrupted and you're to her left. So don't muddy the issue. Because then, now all of a sudden you made the conversation, is Nancy Pelosi a racist? I don't want to have that conversation, because I also don't think it's true. What I want to have the conversation of is, who's to her left? And who's fighting for the people? And who's taking no corporate money? So when you frame it as an issue of Nancy Pelosi is like a closet bigot, which is the implication there, that's nonsense. I don't want that to be the conversation. Keep your eye on the ball. And your eye on the ball is, the reason she's against us is we're uncorrupted and we're fighting for policies that are actually for the people and against her corporate donors. So I don't like how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took a really winnable debate here and conversation here and steered it into the ditch by basically accusing Nancy Pelosi of being racist instead of what she is, a corporate sellout who's gaslighting the left.